Hello and welcome to 2v2t 1.19 The Fever Dream. Yes, we are heading into the end. It's a couple of days after the server had updated on the 14th of August. That was when this was recorded. However, this editing and narration is happening on August the 26th. So hence the title, The Fever Dream. So I thought it'd be an interesting video to make, heading into the end, doing a bit of end busting, and see how the end has changed with the update to 1.19.4 and with all the additional things that House had done. However, as you're probably aware, on the 24th into the 25th, House issued an apology for what had happened and started a poll on Reddit to decide what was going to happen going forward. The options being to roll back without the economy reset, which means go back to 1.12, then back to 1.19, and we keep all our stuff. To roll back without the economy reset and without the chunk culling, so again, to redo the 1.19 without taking our stuff and without cutting any of the chunks, or not to roll back at all. Now, this poll was supposed to last for a week. It did not last 24 hours. It got to the point where it was so obvious and so overwhelming, the decision by the player base that they wanted the rollback without economy reset and without the chunk culling, that it was just no point continuing. So House made a decision, announced that he was now going to put the server onto a test map, well, a temporary map I should say, while he rolled the server back to the 1.12 save and then would redo the update to 1.19, basically bringing us to where we should have been in the first place. Now, he hasn't said he's undoing everything. He had already re-enabled X-Ray. Then the day before, we discovered that X-Ray was in fact back up and working. However, he has not said anything about the changes to PvP. So one of the issues we've been having was with Kill Aura. So we shall find out once the server is back on how we stand with that. Now, I thought it was worth still doing this video because the journey into the end was very interesting. As you'll see, there's a lot of chunk errors. This now, in a sense, will not have happened. A lot of those chunks will actually go back to the original 1.12 chunks, because some of them were chunks that had only loaded briefly. However, I think it was worth showing because it was a part of what happened, even though it was only temporary. Now, one of the things that had concerned me going into the end was how I would fare dealing with Enderman, and later on dealing with the Shulks when I get to the end cities, with how Kill Aura was working. And also the fact I was going to be using Meteor and using the features on there. But as you can see, turning on the Enderman lock to always and adding Enderman to Kill Aura turned out to work rather well. This is something I'd use on another server at Enderman Farms, and it's extremely effective. Now, I was a bit concerned that it wouldn't work as well here on 2B with all the plugins, but no, as long as I can't be reached, I had no trouble at all with using those features on Meteor. So it was quite a nice surprise of everything that had been happening, that there was actually some features that worked really well. So yeah, it wasn't all doom and gloom. So there is hope with when the update finishes going through, that things might not be too bad. Certainly not too bad with dealing with Enderman, as long as they can't get to you. However, we can't ignore everything that has been happening. So over the 2 weeks, well, not quite full 2 weeks, a lot has happened. The player base, as you're probably aware, was very unhappy with the changes. A few people didn't mind. I was on the fence. I wasn't too thrilled with all the stuff I'd lost, hence why I was having to come into the end, because I'd gone from having a full shulker of shells to having half a stack in the middle of a build project, wanting to go out into fresh nether to get some of the new blocks. I needed shulker boxes. And I did not have enough. I literally had maybe 16 shulker boxes. Enough shells to do that. And it just wouldn't work. So I had no choice but to go straight back down to spawn and go into an end portal. Which was a little bit concerning because I didn't know what I was going to find. Since the dragon was being reset, there was a good chance I was going to end into the end and find a load of players there waiting to take on the dragon or to deal with any players who came to take on the dragon. However, as you saw when we came in, there wasn't anybody there. The end island still looks the same as it always had. The only difference being apparently the dragon could be respawned. Now, this ship surprised me. Now, I suspect this ship won't be there if I was to go back again, and this is actually part of New Chunks. But this is an unlooted ship, and it is less than 17k out. Now, that is not impossible. I have found a city that hadn't been looted with an unlooted ship prior to this, about 6 months earlier, possibly longer, which was only 19k out. A lot of people believe that you would have to go a very long way out on 2B because of the length of time the server has been up and the amount of people who played it to be able to find unlooted cities, unlooted ships. But because duping has been so prolific on the server and has been to such an extent, very few players actually have gone into the end because leeches have been duped, the shells have been duped, so therefore there's been no reason to go into the end. Which means then a lot of stuff is still there to be found. So every time I've gone into the end when I had my build project, I always stopped at any cities and picked up any elytras. So I have quite a few unenchanted elytras and picked up extra shells, hence why I ended up with so many of them. So also why I was a little bit miffed that I lost them because a lot of them were done legitimately. So there was that. Now, I will admit, I was expecting it to be a lot harder to end bust and take on shulkers with the change that had happened with the PvP and things, the anti-cheat plugins that was affecting things like Killor. However, I did not find it any harder than I've found it any other time on any other server, on any other version. I was expecting to have the lag issues. Sorry, these chunk errors are absolutely ridiculously amazing, some of them. But yes, I expected to have the lag issues where that we're getting when dealing with skeletons, but it wasn't happening. Also, the Endermen, whilst plenty of them, didn't seem to be spawning in ridiculous numbers, though later on I found out from other people that this was issues they were having themselves in other areas in the end. An issue that I was also finding in the overworld, that I was having mobs spawn at a far higher rate and in areas where they shouldn't spawn. So I'd already made the creeper farm pre the update, had it ready, so we'd have an easy supply of gunpowder for making rockets. Yeah, this is it's strange. 1 minute you've got unloaded stuff, next minute it's a case of in the middle of the unloaded stuff you've got like something like a city and a ship which has already been looted. Very strange. Anyway, so yes, so I'd already made the creeper farm, it was all ready. Was hoping for a higher mob rate. However, though I'd listed up the caves and the mine shafts underneath the creeper farm and around the creeper farm, I was still finding a large number of mobs were still spawning within them. The light was above like level 0, so it should have been impossible for them to spawn. So I don't know whether House had accidentally tweaked that to the point that they were spawning at a higher light level. But that was something that I did hear had been fixed. And in fact, prior to the server going down, I'd found I was getting a lot more creepers now spawning in the farm and was actually getting a reasonable drop rate. The only issue I was still having was occasionally I was getting spiders spawn in there, even though I'd actually proofed it against spider spawning and there was no areas that were big enough for spiders to spawn on. So not quite sure what was happening with that. But that was not a big issue. As long as I was getting creepers, it was good. Of course, now I do have to relight those caves up again. So, sucks to be me, I guess. That just that was just weird. That wasn't the first one I found like that. I found a few where the front half of the ship had loaded in, but the back half hadn't. And each time the shulker was there, we did not get any elytra. It was very, very strange. And of course, there was the odd city where I found where part of a room or part of the building hadn't spawned in. But I just think I have seen on other servers where if the city is on the edge of a chunk, and one half had been loaded and the other half hadn't, you did tend to get that. Now, there was also, on another note, one other side effect to the original update. Because a lot of the players weren't happy, a lot of them left the server, and you probably may have seen my other videos where I go into this, and had gone to other servers. So at the moment we are dealing with an influx of players on Constantium to the point where at times the server is very, very hard to play. So unfortunately, we are trying to remove those players in the time-honoured tradition of killing them as soon as we see them when they're spawning in. It's kind of interesting, really, because this is something 2B has fought many times, incursions where players have come from either a Minecraft YouTuber or somewhere else, and they fought them off. And this time around, 2B is the invaders, and another server is having to fight them off. Which has left me in a slightly strange predicament, because I do play both servers. However, when I'm on 2B, my loyalty is to 2B. When I'm playing Constantium, my loyalty is to Constantium. So when I'm on Constantium, I am fighting against 2B players, and I've spoken to a few people who themselves have said, oh yes, they're coming over to Constantium, because they weren't happy with things, or were thinking they're coming there anyway. I've literally gone, oh, okay, well, good luck, might see you there, and I apologise in advance if I kill you, because if I see you, that's exactly what's going to happen. And I only end up with a slight silence along the lines of, oh, okay, really? So yes, so I'm just going to say now to any of you guys who are watching this who are 2B players and have come over to Constantium to maybe start afresh before House has decided to redo the update. If I have run into you and have killed you, I apologise for doing so. If I run into you again, I will probably try and kill you again. It is what it is. Anyway, I think we'll bring this video to a close now. I hope you enjoyed me flying around the end, looking at some of the ridiculous chunk errors, and watching me do a little bit of end busting, and listen to me witter on a bit about what has happened on 2B. So hopefully we will very soon be back onto 1.19. The temporary map is a little bit, well, to be honest, I've been on it a couple of times and just given up because it is so laggy and it takes so long for the chunks to load. It's just a case of, I'll just go somewhere else for a bit. So yes, hopefully we will be back on 1.19. I do intend to redo the update video because the situation has changed. But one thing I have noticed, and it's kind of reassuring, is the feeling of optimism I'm hearing from other 2B players in other Discord groups who are feeling excited about the server updating, who may have been neutral or not really that bothered previously. Having what happened happen has made them appreciate the server more, and the fact that it's now getting done correctly is actually making them feel optimistic. And the fact that we're actually getting a bit of communication from House. Now, I could go down that rabbit hole of conspiracy theory, but I'm not going to. Think what you want, make whatever assumptions you want, whatever conjectures you want. I don't think we'll ever know if this is indeed the original House or somebody else or whatever the situation is. So anyway, this is me, Old Lady North, signing off. Hope to see you on 1.19 soon. If I see you on Constantium, if you're geared up and got in full armour, I'm probably going to ignore you and leave you. If you're a new player, I might just kill you. Anyway, I apologize for that, and I'll see you around soon. All right, guys, later. Bye.